Radio Talk Online with your host, Melanie Fine.
This is Melanie Fine at Radio Talk Online. Today we're talking with Dean Sipes, a real estate agent of Sotheby's International Realty. Good morning, Dean.
Good morning, Melanie. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So thank you for doing this interview with us. I wanted to start by asking you to tell us about your experience in real estate.
Certainly. I moved to the Coachella Valley about 8 years ago, at which time I entered the real estate market, became a realtor. Always wanted to be a realtor and sell real estate. I had a strong sales background, and unfortunately at the time I'd moved 9 times in 10 years. And as with anything, my other agents in other cities have said, you move too much. You'll never make money. So in getting an education in that, in their experience, I knew that when I finally decided to, or had the opportunity to settle down and kind of not keep moving, which was Palm Springs about 8 years ago, I entered the market. So, and ever since I entered kind of at the, almost at the cusp of it, and then of course with the downfall, I should say the drop in the economy in about 2008. So it was a big turnaround in terms of, or I should say shock initially, because I started out for about 1.5 years with how wonderful everything was, and me being a new agent, it seemed very intimidating with all these, I guess, great listings and great homes and great properties and great prices, and then all of a sudden it stopped. But I saw that that was an opportunity that actually helped me. Because I didn't learn in the market where back in the day, as people have said, clients just came in and just gave you offers, and I've never experienced that. So I experienced you actually had to work for it. Right. So since then, it's been great. I continue to do better every year, and I continue to expand my network of past clients and people that I meet. And continue to get my name and actually my business partner's name out there as well, to continue to meet new people. Just keep not only growing our business, but actually what we love to do is we love to sell homes and everything that kind of goes around with that. So it increasingly has been more productive and more successful every year since.
Right. So what do you think the key to your success is? Is it those relationships?
Yes, absolutely. At the end of the day, yes. Because without those relationships, without making new clients and reaching out to new clients or future clients, and even reaching out to past clients, my business wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be able to continue being more successful every year. So yes, I think ultimately what started it, the fuel to the fire, was everybody else seemed to be scaling down because they've been in the business so long and they saw a dramatic change, whereas I started at nothing, and I just needed to get something, and I needed more. So there was nowhere for me to go but up, and so all I just kept doing is working and learning, and I guess I don't know if it was tenacity or desire or I have to pay my bills, the fear of having to pay my bills. But either way, I think ultimately it led to, gaining, meeting new clients and keeping those relationships going, which is, in any market is going to be any agent's, real focus, or should be their real focus.
Do you keep the relationships going also of people that you've sold homes to or sold their listings?
Yes. We keep in contact with our past clients. And, we constantly ask, when are you moving back to the desert? Or do you know anyone who's moving to the desert? Or would like to, move out of the desert, move somewhere else, or maybe even upgrade the property. And I actually bought a home here in 2004, prior to me moving down, very, very recently prior. And it was my vacation home, and it was my retirement home. And this was the place I was going to retire. And ironically, I bought that home at age 33. What was I thinking? This is going to be my ultimate retirement property.
The American dream.
And the reality is, a lot of our clients come down with that same thought of this is it. And what I tell them is based on my experience, and truly my experience is I've had that same thought. And the reality is things have changed since then, so that it's not that ultimate property. And ultimately one will upgrade, or one will change, or one will move, because we don't know what the future holds. And never say never, so to speak. But I constantly remind my past clients that you may be back, or you may need somebody who will be back, so that you can then, rent their place out or borrow it for a week. So yes, we constantly stay in touch with our past clients, because you never know.
Interesting. Do you actually just give them a call, or do you send them mailings, or how does that work?
Usually we do a combination of both. Usually with a monthly email newsletter that goes out to our list of clients and prospects. In addition to, we may pick up the phone and make calls and say, how have you been doing? And as I get to know clients, or we work through a transaction, we get to know a few things about them that I do keep a database, so that I recognize whether their birthday is coming up, or they went out for a job offer. And of course, we also look on Facebook and things, and we're connected in those fashions, so that there's always an opportunity to reach out and say hello, even if it is just, hey, hello, how are you? Did you get the job? Congratulations, what have you. We at least reach out in some fashion. So it's not always business of, what do you want to buy today, or what do you want to sell?
Right.
Sometimes it's just, hi. And in that regard, we're always in front of them in some respect, and that they remember us. So we keep that relationship and that rapport going. That's
actually great business advice for anyone, either small business or large business, keeping the one-on-one relationships going, not always as a sales relationship, just keeping an interest in their lives.
Yeah.
So when I think of Sotheby's, I think of high-end real estate. Is that your specialty?
I would say I have a specific specialty in terms of price range. The reality is, I think what we have, for me specifically, what I have a specialty for, and it's probably going to sound hokey, but that's the reason I've always been in sales, and why I like real estate more specifically than the previous sales that I came from, is the personal relationship that I have with getting to know a client, or seeing their face light up when you sell their house or find them a house. That's probably more what I focus on, is trying to make them happy. Because at the end of the day, I want them, I want people to say thank you. Thank you for finding me a house, or thank you for selling my home. And that means kind of more to me than the actual selling process of it, even though I enjoy that as well. So from a specialty perspective, there's no real price point that I have that I would focus on specifically. But I would say most of my clients and most of my sales, buyers or sellers, have come from clients that I've had that rapport with, and that have come back and said thank you. And they've bought multiple properties through me, or sold through me, simply because of that.
So you represent all types of I guess, what's the opposite of non-commercial real estate? All aspects of home buying real estate in the Coachella Valley.
Yes, I mean, I've worked with clients I think this year was one of we sold a condo for $23,000, and we've also have clients with $4 million homes. So we kind of worked the gambit, and that's kind of why I would say initially, with the same thing with Sotheby's, is my clients need a home, whether it's regardless of the price point, and somebody needs to find them one. So if I have the honor of having them come to me, then I'm going to work with them. Wonderful.
So let's step backwards and talk about Palm Springs or Coachella Valley real estate. I've been told it's on the uptick. What is the state of it right now?
It is on the uptick, absolutely. I believe we hit the bottom, in my opinion. I believe we hit the bottom about a year ago, maybe even 14 months ago. And for the most part, that's not to say that some prices aren't coming down, and that every price is going up. That's a bit too generic. What I would say, though, is that the average sale prices are going up, primarily because we have low inventory. But as we step back a bit, what we had in the past in 2008, 9, and 10 or 11, we had a significant change in value systems or beliefs in values for consumers, not just real estate, for everything. But in real estate specifically, the value proposition for a buyer could change dramatically. What they accepted in 2005 and 6 is not what they would accept in 2008 through 2012. And so that value shift obviously causes price differentials. So that's what we saw. Now, what we're seeing now in the last probably six months or so, we're seeing the shift the other way. We're seeing the shift where the buyers are now recognizing that it has shifted, or they're having, or they're not recognizing that it's shifted, and they're being shocked. And so now that the pendulum is shifting the other way, not in some cases dramatically, in some cases not so much. But as long as the value propositions are still there from a seller's perspective for the buyers will pay the extra money. And that's what's causing the properties to go up. So, and those value propositions tend to be, obviously location in Palm Springs is great. So location is number one. Want to see a view of the mountains, want to see the sun, et cetera. A lot of Canadians come down and they want that. But the number two thing seems to be condition. And depending on one's wherewithal mentally to take it or physically to endure a renovation, then those clients find certain properties. And then on the flip side, a lot of people are going to, I want brand new, I want done, I don't want to lift a finger. I'll paint, but that's it. And that's probably more geared to a financial perspective because of the mortgage rates are so historically low that for the price that they can get a mortgage, we might as well have it finished and completed. So we've seen a huge uptick in price ranges for new construction or newly renovated homes, much faster than we have seen for properties that have not been touched for 10, 12 years.
And it's interesting because I imagine as prices go up, the inventory will also increase. At some point, I guess it reaches its own level. But as people have been holding onto their properties, because they're either under their properties or they just want a better price. At some point, when the prices go up, they're going to start selling. And I mean, is there a potential that the market will be flooded again?
I don't believe flooded would be the exact term. I believe at the height of the financial crisis, we had about almost 11,000, 12,000 homes in the valley on the market. Compare that to 2005, 2004, where there was 35 to 5,000 homes on the market. And I believe right now we have about 3,500 homes on the market right now. So we're almost at the same levels we were back at the height of the market in terms of inventory, where prices were the highest. Mm-hmm. But yet, as more comes on, I don't believe we're going to get back to those, financial crisis levels. We're not going to get back to 11,000 homes. The reality is, I think it's going to go up probably by about another 20 to 30% of inventory as the season comes on. But keep in mind that from a summer perspective in Palm Springs to a season perspective, we typically have a differential of about 10% to 15% of homes, simply because people remove them from the market in the summer. So really? I believe that maybe a 20 to 30% increase will come on. So that's not a huge increase when you look historical numbers. Right.
And are banks still holding on to some properties that they'll be releasing soon, or what is the foreclosure and short sale market?
Sure. Well, the short sale, both markets, foreclosure and short sale, have definitely decreased in the sheer number. We used to have 500 foreclosures in Palm Springs, and now there's maybe 50. So the number has dropped dramatically. Does that mean banks still are holding on to properties? They probably are. I mean, from a sheer business sense, they probably are. Are they holding on to mass inventory that they flooded the market with before? No. I don't believe they've held onto that many properties. They have enough on there that they can make more money on at some point. So yes, we're probably going to see more, maybe more bank foreclosures come on, but it's not going to be a significant amount. And from the ones that I have seen, I've seen that those banks have made changes or improvements to the property from a condition perspective, enough so that they can recognize the increase in the market versus what they used to do back in 3 years ago, where they foreclosed, they didn't touch it, they didn't see it, they just put it on the market in as is shape, and prices were low. Banks aren't doing that right now. They're actually paying attention to their inventory as if they were the actual true owner, which they are, but the actual owner that lived in residence. And so we might get a few more of those, but it's not going to be a huge amount. Right.
Excellent. So do you deal primarily with I guess, primary home buyers or secondary home buyers? You talked about people coming down from Canada.
Yes. Primarily, most of my clients are are secondary home buyers. They live somewhere else and they come down either for season or every other week. I would say about 85% of them are secondary home buyers or sellers, and about the other 15% are primary.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's a different market than most places, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, just as we conclude this interview, what tip would you give to someone who's looking to find the right realtor for him or herself?
I believe the tip that I would give is, regardless of the agent that one finds, is find what you would like. Understand your criteria, but don't struggle with the fact that if they don't know exactly what they want, call the agent and ask and trust in the agent to help you. And if honestly, if they don't feel that they're getting service or that person's not a good fit for them, then find another agent. Because at the end of the day, I think that's the most important is when a buyer or seller hires an agent, trust in them. That's what they're there for. They're the expert. And find an agent that truly works as a full-time agent. I think that's one of the challenges here in the Valley is we have so many agents that maybe sell one property a year because they do other things, and that's just the nature of the industry. But I think that's the one thing I could say is find an agent that works full-time, that you believe is listening to you, and that you end up trusting, because you'll go a lot further, and they'll go a lot further in terms of finding the buyer or the property with that good rapport.
Excellent. Thank you, Dean, so much for being on our show. If our listeners want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Absolutely. They can actually go. The easiest thing, you can either go to Sotheby'sRealty.com, find me as an agent there. Realistically, my website is dean@deansipe.com. And my phone number is, if I can give it to you, is
sure
760-668-5386. And I've been a resident here for 8 years, and absolutely love it. And I am a full-time real estate agent, so there you go.
Yeah, I figured that in your recommendations. Excellent. So thank you very much. You've ridden the lows and are ready to scale the heights of real estate here in the desert. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Melanie, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.